A very good morning to one and all who joined with us in the webinar today. On behalf of IEEE SB Panimalar Institute of Technology, I welcome you all for today's webinar. I now welcome Mithresh to deliver the welcome address.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, Mithresh, go ahead.
Pleasant afternoon to all. We have gathered here for this historic webinar. I am so proud to welcome today's speaker, Mr. Navanitha Krishnan, Assistant Professor, Kumaraguru College of Technology, Coimbatore. He has taken up different leadership roles as core team member, Robert Bosch Center of Excellence for Automotive Electronics, Vice Chair Operation IEEE Site 2020 International Steering Committee, Chairman IEEE SSIT Madras Section, Executive Committee Member IEEE Robotics and Automation Society, Member Global Communication Committee IEEE Site 2019, winner of Smart India Hackathon 2018 organized by Government of India, Secretary IEEE Education Society 2017 Madras Section. We are feeling
Mithresh, your mic is muted.
sorry. How many minutes the mic was muted?
Just before.
Okay. We are also feeling glad in inaugurating Social Implication Society. Today, I welcome speaker to inaugurate the society and then continue with the webinar. The feedback link will be provided by the end of the meeting and certificates will be provided to the feedback active for 15 minutes after the end of the meeting. Now, I call upon Mr. Navanitha Krishnan to inaugurate the SSIT Society and continue with the webinar. Please, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much for your detailed and wonderful introduction of me. It is my pleasure to be here for inaugurating the IEEE SSIT student chapter at Panimalar Institute of Technology, and to share my experiences in this automotive domain. So I would like to share my screen. Please allow me. Is my screen visible to you? Am I audible and my screen is visible to you?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
So thank you so much, Professor Arun, for inviting me. So based on the approval from IEEE SSIT headquarters in the month of November 2019, as a chair of IEEE SSIT Madras Section Chapter, it is my pleasure to inaugurate the IEEE SSIT student chapter at Panimalar Institute of Technology, Chennai. IEEE SSIT is interdisciplinary group which primarily works on the 5 pillars, which are global development and humanitarian technology, ethics, human values and technology, technology benefits for all, future societal impacts of technology advances, protecting the planet, which is also sustainable development goal. So these are all the 5 pillars on which the SSIT is primarily working. SSIT offers you wide range of opportunities as a member to explore, and also there is a great platform for members to volunteer. So in terms of getting engaged with IEEE SSIT signature events, IEEE SSIT organizes annual conference on humanitarian technology, and it organizes wide variety of webinars, workshops, and all those stuffs. So as a member and as a volunteer, SSIT always welcome you all to take part in it. And yes, of course, at this time, even I would say this is the right time where we need to think as an engineer, as a technical, engineers or technical person. We need more to contribute to the society. So considering this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic situation, a lot of technology is required for controlling the situation as well as getting rid of this situation. So it's all about interdisciplinary work, I would say. So SSIT is a great platform for exploration of interdisciplinary projects, interdisciplinary research, interdisciplinary activities, which ultimately serves the society. As our IEEE tagline is technology for humanity. So the SSIT society closely working in alignment with the tagline of IEEE society. So that is the proud thing as an IEEE SSIT member, I would say. So thank you so much, IEEE SSIT, IEEE Panimalar Institute of Technology student branch for taking efforts in creating the student branch. So I request all the SSIT as a Panimalar Institute of Technology student branch team to get involved with various activities. As a Madras section chapter, we are always open for any kind of support that you require for any of the activities in your chapter at student branch. Thank you so much. So with this set, I would like to move on to my today's presentation, and at this point I would like to turn off my camera for bandwidth conservation, so please bear with me.
Sir, can you hear me? Your audio is muted, sir. Can you unmute it?
Oh, I'm really sorry. So you didn't hear anything which I spoke? You didn't hear anything before what I spoke?
Sir, what you explained about the society was audible, sir.
Okay.
Just now the presentation, when you changed the presentation, the mic was muted,
okay.
I think so, sir.
Okay. On this occasion, I would like to, request Professor Arun to share few words about, the inauguration of your IEEE Society student chapter.
Yeah, sir. After you mute,
Sir, I think you are muted now. So can you please unmute and proceed?
Arun sir, you are muted, sir.
So we cannot hear you again. Can you try reconnecting it once again?
Me, sir? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. But I requested Professor Arun to share a few words. I'm just waiting for it. So if he cannot unmute, then I can proceed on my presentation. Okay. So I'll move on to my presentation and we'll come back to Professor Arun for his thoughts. My screen is
there is some problem from that.
Yeah.
You can continue, sir.
Yeah. My screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so please interrupt me when when I go inaudible and my screen goes invisible, okay? So as a host.
Yeah, sir. Sure, sir.
So again, I would like to join the organizing team to welcome all the participants for today's webinar. I would like to start my today's session with this quote by Leonardo da Vinci: "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." So this was actually adopted by number of technology players. Like I would quote an example, like when the mobile phone market was, trending with QWERTY keypad and the mobile phones with n number of keypads. Apple came up with an idea of single button iPhone, which disrupted, the mobile phone market in a big way. So, like that, in this context, Henry Ford also, felt, and he quoted, like, the basically simple things are best, whether it is automobile or diets or philosophy. So I also strongly believe the simple things are, always best. So let us make, let us try to have, as simple as possible. So this is the content and the flow which I have planned for today's presentation. So we will be discussing about evolution of electronics in an automobile, functional units and basic stuffs of engine. We'll be looking into a real-time example, which is diesel engine management system. I know I personally worked with it. So, and we will be looking at some other embedded applications, the paradigm shift from system on board design to system on chip design, and we'll be looking into the smart vehicle applications, and we will be discussing some key areas to explore as well. So first, if you look at this picture, this is actually the world's first automobile patented by Carl Benz. The design is called Motor Wagon. So before Motor Wagon, there were many attempts by some many inventors and researchers, but none of their inventions has reached the production line and also the road. So this is the first. Sorry. Okay, so if you are not,
continue, sir.
Yeah. So participants, if you cannot, if you are not able to see my screen, find my name Navanitha Krishnan in the participants list. So and pin my screen. So there may be sometimes in Google Meet there will be two names, displaying for a speaker. So try to pin my.
Sir, your audio has been muted, sir.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yeah, yes, sir. Now you're audible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So you can look at this, mechanical device, which is the motor wagon. This is purely a mechanical device, except one thing, which is the spark plug. None of the components we cannot trace, we cannot trace any, electrical or electronic component in this model. So except the spark plug. So maybe the electrical people might be knowing this. The spark plug, which used in this motor wagon.
Sir, you have been muted, sir.
Why it is keep on getting muted? I'm not muting myself.
Sir, I think some participant, instead of pinning, they are clicking on mute symbol of you. That is why the problem.
Okay, no problem. So whenever I go unaudible, please interrupt me. Not an issue. So if you look at the vintage car era, there were very limited electrification in an automobile, like the lighting and all those stuffs. Even in this era, the self motor, self starter, all those stuffs were not introduced. In that time, the drivers used to do, the operators or drivers used to do, use the levers kind of thing for igniting this engine. So very limited electrification happened in this vintage car era. And if we slightly move on to the up, which is mid-age cars, a good number of electrifications, came into automotives. So like, except that spark plug and lighting systems, we had minimal infotainment systems with music player and minimal navigation systems and dashboard notifications, all those stuff. So we had, a pretty good number of electronics inside a automobile. So if we move on, so if you look at the modern car, I would say, it is not like a big end, high end or luxurious cars. If you consider basic car like the car which we can get for 3 to 4 lakhs Indian rupee, you can find more, many modules and many parts are, getting controlled by electronic control units. So you can, in most of the cases, you can find the engine management systems, power steering systems, and the safety systems and the braking systems all are getting controlled by electronics nowadays. And of course, this is a right time where the industries are exploring more possibilities in the area of electric mobility. Yes, you mute all other participants. I'm getting some. So now even the big OEMs, original equipment manufacturers like Robert Bosch, Valeo, and all those people are, exploring the possibilities in the area of electric mobility. And if you look at the future, I won't say this is a far future. In the near future, the complete automobile industry is going, to be autonomous, self-driven. So, without electrification, without computing, without algorithms, without, IoT and artificial intelligence systems, the near future of automobile is not at all possible, and it is unimaginable. So it requires more electrification, more, computational intelligence and all those stuff. So at this juncture, at this point, you will definitely, agree that, more than a vehicle is more than a mechanical element. It is more of electrical and computer element. So if you, just imagine world's first automobile, which is motor wagon, we cannot say that was electrical equipment. That was a purely mechanical device. And if you look at the today's car or near future automobile, you will definitely agree with me. So it is more of electrification and computational intelligence than a mechanical structure. So simply the body and the engine movement are, again, mechanical things, except that everything. So more than a fuel, we need to deal with the data and all those stuff. Okay. So on a nutshell, these are all the parts of automobile. You can name any automobile which will have basic structure, power unit, transmission system, controls, auxiliaries, and superstructure. The basic structure is the chassis and related components, and the power unit is the one which produces the power. Ultimately, that is an engine in IC engines, and the motor in a hub motor or PLDC motor or whatsoever used in the thing will be referred as power unit. And the transmission system, this is the one which intermediates the engine and the wheel. So this is the thing which takes the rotational power from the engine to the wheels, which will have gearbox, clutch, and drive shaft, all those stuffs. And control systems comes to controllability of the automobile, which is brake and steering system. Auxiliaries will consist of headlamp, indication lamps, all those stuffs. And superstructure will be a body. So actually, the complete automobile will be built upon the basic structure, which is chassis, and on top of it, the superstructure will be superimposed, which is the body. So the power unit and transmission system put together will be referred as powertrain system, which deals with generation of power and transmission of power to the wheels. I would like to take you through some animated example in order to make you understand the basic functionality of an engine. Can you see my screen? Can you see my browser screen, browser window? Host can reply yes or no.
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Yeah, okay. Just want to check. Okay. So this is how the engine,
Yes,
thank you so much. So this is how the engine chamber will look like. So the one which is moving up and down will be referred as a piston, and the piston will be connected with the a shaft called a crankshaft. And on top of this, we will have two gateways. So these two gateways are valves. So these two valves will be referred as intake valve and exhaust valve. One valve, which is referred as intake valve, will be helpful to take the air fuel mixture inside the engine chamber, and another valve, which is on my right side, will be useful to take off the exhaust gas from the engine chamber. So as we will, depending upon the strokes, depending upon the movement, so the stroke refers to the movement of a piston. The movement can be either from top to bottom or bottom to up. So one movement will be referred as one stroke. If the engine, if it is a four-stroke engine, then there will be four movements, either top to bottom or bottom to up, in order to complete one cycle. One cycle I refers to starting from the intake of fuel and pushing the exhaust outside of the engine chamber. So in a four-stroke engine, this is a four-stroke engine. The complete cycle will have four strokes. So the strokes will be named as in a proper order. It will be named as intake stroke, compression stroke, combustion stroke, and exhaust stroke. In an intake stroke, the air fuel mixture will be brought into the engine chamber, and in a compression stroke, the air fuel mixture will be gets compressed. In a diesel engine, the property of diesel is the pressure whatever created in the air fuel mixture in the combustion chamber at the compression stroke will be enough. That pressure is enough to produce a heat, so that air fuel mixture is self-ignited. This is in the case of diesel engine. So diesel engine will get self-ignited. So in the third stroke, due to that ignition, so ignition means it will the spark will be that the bursting will happen. So because of that burst, that energy will push the piston to move downwards. That will be referred as combustion stroke or power stroke. And the last thing, after the combustion, the air fuel mixture, whatever we brought in, will become an exhaust. We need to take up that exhaust outside of an engine. So in the last stroke, the air fuel mixture, that is the exhaust, will be taken out. So So first, initially, the intake valve will open. So once the intake valve opens, the piston will move from up to down, so that it takes the air fuel mixture inside the chamber. This is the first stroke. And if you look at the second stroke, the piston will move from bottom to up, so that the air fuel mixture will get compressed. So this is the compression stroke. So once it is compressed, as I told you, the diesel can self-ignite itself. So due to that self-ignition, the power will be created. That energy will push the piston towards the bottom. So this is the power stroke. And once it is bursted, you can see this. The air fuel mixture became the exhaust. So this exhaust has to be taken away. So in the final stroke, the valve which is on my right side will get opened, so that the exhaust will go away. So both these intake valve and exhaust valve will be controlled by a mechanism called a camshaft. So this is the basic functionality of an engine of diesel, four-stroke diesel engine. So if you look at the petrol engine, so all the functionalities, intake valve, exhaust valve, controlling, everything are same except one thing, which is the spark plug. The petrol engine cannot self-ignite itself, so it needs some sparking mechanism to spark the air fuel mixture. So on top of the engine module, so on top of the engine chamber, we will have a spark plug, so which is again electrical spark plug. That spark plug will create, will provide a spark when the air fuel mixture is compressed, which is at the end of compression stroke, it will provide a spark, so that the combustion happens, so that the power can be produced. So the remaining things are same. So if you look at the next example, this is two-stroke petrol engine. In this two-stroke, as I told you, the stroke refers to number of movement. In a four-stroke engine, we have seen the complete cycle will have four-stroke, but in this two-stroke, it will have only two strokes. Initially, this will be like this. So if you can look at the left side, this is the intake valve. So through this intake valve, the air fuel mixture will get inside. So it will not take a separate movement. In the same cycle, this will get compressed. So in a single stroke or in a single movement, the intake as well as compression will happen. So once it is compressed, so the spark plug will provide the spark. Since it is a petrol engine, we have a spark plug. The spark will be produced. Once the spark is produced, the power stroke, the combustion will happen. Once the combustion is happened, the power will be produced. That energy will move the piston towards bottom. So along the way of this movement, the exhaust will be taken outside. So here in this case, we will have two strokes. So this will be referred as two-stroke engine. So normally we will say the engine power in cc's. engine capacity in cc's, that capacity cc will refers to the volume of this particular engines, the volume of this particular cylinder. If the engine cylinder has 100 ml capacity, 100 ml volume, then that engine is referred as 100 cc engine. So if we have 1 liter 1000 millis of capacity, how 1000 milli volume of that cylinder, then that will be referred as 1000 cc. And also automobile can have number of cylinders, usually the two wheelers, the bikes will have single cylinder, and the cars will have more than one cylinder. Cars and trucks and other four wheelers more than two wheeler, so will have more number of cylinders. The ratio is like, if it is more number of cylinders, there will be more torque but less speed. So if the number of cylinders are less, then speed will be high and the torque will be less. So optimally, the high speed cars will have 3-cylinder engines, whereas the trucks will have 5-cylinder and 6-cylinder engines. And nowadays, if whatever mechanism, whatever, so if in this example, whatever I have shown you are completely all are controlled by the mechanical element, the fuel intake, fuel pump, everything are mechanical element. This was in olden days, except this spark plug. But if you consider the nowadays fuel pump, fuel injectors, everything, so fuel injectors, in fact the camshafts which is used to trigger the intake and exhaust valve are also got replaced with electronic control units. Okay, so now we'll discuss about the diesel engine management system, which I have used, which I have worked on at Robert Bosch Center of Excellence. We have worked on this, and we have designed an engine management system application for Robert Bosch. So this diesel
Sir, voice is not audible, sir.
Okay, now I think it's muted. Now it is audible.
Sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Now you are audible, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So where I left, so where I go, from where I go and muted.
Just
Well,
1 second before, sir.
Just 5 seconds before.
Okay, no problem. So let me start with this. This is RX microcontroller family with the tri-core architecture, and this was developed by Infineon Semiconductor. This is 32-bit single chip microcontroller. It has 3 cores. Cores is nothing but a processing element inside a microcontroller. So it may process or controllers may have single core or multiple number of core. The word core refers to a processing element that will ultimately process the instructions. And here you might have used the microprocessor and controller platforms in your various labs, and also you have used for some course projects, main projects, and all those stuffs. So in those microcontrollers, you might have seen pins called GPIO, general purpose input and output pins. So through that GPIOs, you can connect any input device or output device. You can perform any task, you can perform any functions. You can use that for simply you can use one particular pin for simply turning on the LED, or you can use that for simply turning on some motor or all those stuff. But if you look at the industry standard boards, if you consider the industry standard boards, all are hardwired. Functionality wise, each and every pin are fixed. You cannot find any pin as a general purpose input output, so that you can use that particular pin for multiple purposes. So each and every pin will be functionally fixed. You cannot use that particular pin. You cannot use any resources except that particular purpose. So everything will be hardwired and functionally fixed. And it has sophisticated debugging interface where you can access all the internal resources. You can see each and every resource, status of the each and every resource inside your platform, and you can investigate the changes, how it is behaving to your application, and you can rectify, you can debug your application in a good way. So again, that sophisticated debugging system will comes with a high cost. I would say you can, for your information, I would like to say this. The board is, you can get this for 30,000 or 40,000. But if you consider the cost of the debugging tool used for debugging this module will become, will be more than 4 lakh rupees. So that kind of sophisticated debugging tools we can use, and we can debug our system. And also, it is not like this where it is not very easy to, it is not very easy that anyone can enter into the system and look into the internal features and functionalities and they can correct. It is not like that. So the specific debugging module, which will be used for debugging this particular platform will kept confidential. So the other external people, definitely may not know which debugger can be used for this. And this has, proper gateways that will restrict the entry of the other people. So only the authorized person can enter into this, debugging module, and they can view the internal architecture and functionalities. So I would like to, highlight one of the key advantage, key benefit, or I would say one of the beauty of this tri-core architecture. So as the name implies, it is tri-core. It has 3 cores, not just because its name is tri-core. So tri-core is the name, except that this has a 3 cores. And 1 minute. That's the point. Okay. So here, as I told you, the core is nothing but a functional unit, the processing unit. It has 3 cores: functional unit 1, functional unit, sorry, this is functional unit 1, functional unit 2, functional unit 3, processing unit 3. So here, on top of the processing unit, you can find one extra box which is called checker core. So here also you can find one extra block called checker core.
Sir, you have been muted, sir. You are not audible, sir.
Okay, unmuted.
Yes, sir, you are not audible, sir.
Yeah. So the processing unit 1 and processing unit 2 will have additional core called checker core. The processing unit 3 will not have a checker core, because these 2 cores, these 2 functional processing unit 1 and processing unit 2 will be used as prime cores. This will be used to execute the instructions, which is depends upon the task which is assigned to that particular core. And the core 3 will be kept as an additional or as a buffer core. So once if there is any problem or any malfunction happens inside this core, the additional core will take over that particular situation. The additional core will take over that functionality of that particular core. So let me tell you, how this happens. So these, as I told you, these 2 cores will act as a prime core and will keep on executing the instruction, whatever task is assigned to that particular core. In parallel with this core, if you take this core 1 as an example, in parallel with this core 1, whatever functionality the core 1 is doing, the same functionality checker core will also be performing. So, and there will be a comparator, compares the outputs of this checker core as well as this main core. Once the comparator shows, if both are, if the system is going good and smooth, the output of this checker core and the main core will remain same. So the comparator will provide the same output, which means a proper condition. So if there is any mismatch or if there is any malfunction, so definitely there will be a mismatch in that comparator, so that through the output of that comparator, the system can get to know that there is a mismatch between the output of the checker core and core 1. So it detects there is something happening, something wrong is happening in that core. Immediately that additional core will take over the functionality of this main core. So this will happen. This is same for the core 2 as well. So this is the beauty, whereas in the generic microcontroller platforms, we will not have these kind of advantages. But industry standard boards, this there will be advantages. Like this is this is one way of ensuring that our system is fail proof. Okay, so if you look at this block diagram of this TC275T, you can find the TC275T has ADC and GTM on chip. The GTM is global timer module. So global timer module in most of the embedded system cases, the application is like sensing the input from getting the input from some sensor, performing some conditional operation, checking some rules, and based upon the conditions, this will take some decision and will actuate something. So that actuation requires signal, like when that motor or something else, whatever actuator, so whatever output device we have connected with that pin, we need to send some signal for turning off and turning on that particular output. So if we have connected injector, so we need to say, we need to control that injector, like at this point this injector should on, for this much duration the injector should be on, remain on, and at this particular time the injector should go off, or in this condition the injector should behave like this. All those stuff we need to provide. So this can be provided with the signal. That signal we will refer as pulse width modulation signal. So I would say that in embedded system cases, without pulse width modulation signal, it is unimaginable. Most of the things requires pulse width modulation signals in order to turn on and turn off the systems. So for that, in your generic microcontroller platforms, you might have used, for to put an example, like Arduino. If you are using Arduino, if you simply insert a keyword delay within brackets 1000 semicolon, that will produce 1 second delay. But that will not be the case in industry standard things. We need to we will not it is not possible to use that delay keyword, because in that Arduino, for if you are using that keyword delay, that definition, that is actually a function. Definition for that particular function will be already defined. It is predefined. So here in this industry standard modules, the case will not be like that. If you want to take a, if you want to make 1 second delay, you need to properly, tap the signal from global timer module. You need to calculate at which time the 1 second will, happen, which, how many pulses, needs to be taken for 1 second delay. And after, occurrence of that particular number of pulses, again that based on the frequency. So if that particular number of pulses arrives, and then the system will know that 1 second has happened, and that will produce a delay like that. So we need to start everything from the scratch in industry standard boards. The industry standard boards and industry standard applications will not simply rely on the already predefined things like that. And it has ADC. Like you all know, ADC is analog to digital converter. So whatever, in most of the cases, the sensing module sensors will produce the signals in analog nature. So that has to be conditioned, and that has to be converted to digital form in order to process that in a digital system. So this has DS ADC, which is delta sigma ADC. So so whatever signal we are getting as an analog signal, that will be conditioned and will be given to the ADC and converted to the digital form and will be processed. So whatever signal we are getting as a digital form, like switches and all those stuff, we will have some digital sensors. So whatever signal we are getting from digital nature will be directly processed after conditioning. And we will be using some Hall effect sensors as well, crank signal, camshaft signal. All those stuff will use inductor based sensors, so that will produce Hall effect signal. So that will be again conditioned with Hall signal conditioning, and will be given to the system. This will have a separate dedicated power supply unit. This TC275T will work with 12 volt power supply, but there may be requirement of 5 volt and 10 volt on the board for different sensors and actuating devices. So in order to provide sufficient power supply, it has a dedicated power supply unit that will take care of the power supply management part. So if you look at the right side, so these are all output signals. So we will have, as I told you, each and every pin, whether it can be input or output, irrespective of the direction, everything are fixed. So you cannot simply use anything for general purpose. So here in this case we have two pins which are left for future use. Normally the designer of hardware will leave one pin or two pin for a future use. That will be for in future if you are planning to add some extra functionality or some extra device, so that pin can be used for future use. So in this system we had only two pins left for future use. Remaining everything are hardwired and functionally fixed. So it has injector driver, LSS, low side switch driver. I don't want to go deep dive into it, so I will just for your nutshell information, I'm just telling you what are all the stuffs available here. So relay driver, H bridge driver will be used for driving the motor, and the lamp driver. So lamp driver, this lamp driver is not to drive the headlamps. In fact, in onboard diagnostics in a car and all those vehicles, so we will have notification lights in the dashboard. So in order to drive that notification lights, we will use that lamp driver. So then the notification lights will not have LED light. These are all incandescent lamps. So in order to drive the turn on or turn off the incandescent lamp, this lamp driver will be used. And CAN module, we have a CAN is again developed by Robert Bosch, and especially for automotive, in-vehicle automotive applications. So this has CAN protocol, CAN high and CAN low. And Ethernet protocol, Ethernet we have RS-232. So we have three protocols for communication: CAN, Ethernet, and RS-232. So with all these things, we can. This is a pure diesel engine management system. Whatever we have seen in the animated example, were completely controlled by mechanical system. But this diesel engine management system, everything can be all mechanical. Operated device, all mechanical operated things has been replaced with this electronic control module. So like starting from the accelerator, fuel pump, fuel injector, intake, exhaust recirculation, everything has been implemented with electronic control unit. So it is no longer a mechanical control unit. So this is what we have used in our case. So other important issues are, you can find these are typical electronic control units in most of the cars, like fuel system, braking system, steering system, safety, SRS airbag systems, navigation and infotainment system, battery management, park assist sensors. Nowadays, this is very famous. All the buses and trucks, whatever automobile is coming out at present, will definitely have this park assist system. Again, all are electronically controlled. And some high-end cars will have ADAS functionalities, which is advanced driver assistance system, like lane change and cruise control, adaptive cruise control system, emergency braking system, and traffic chauffeur systems, and all those stuff. So high-end cars has this kind of sophisticated advanced driver assistance system, again, which eases the job of the driver. Okay, so this is the right time where the big paradigm shift is happening from system on board design to system on chip design. Usually in system on board design, we will analyze the requirement of the application, and we will plan like, okay, for our application we can choose this microcontroller, and as per our application we need these kind of additional devices called like CAN, like ADC, like timer or counter module, like anything. So anything if you want, you can take as an additional element, and you will put those things on a board, and you will make that as a system. So consider if your if your electronic control unit is laptop size or even a suitcase size. If your car has a minimum 100 number of ECUs, where will you place all these things? So it is very difficult to have, space wise, it is very difficult to, accommodate. It is not very difficult to be accommodated on a vehicle, and also power consumption, all those stuffs will become a limitation. So in order to avoid those cases, the industry is moving towards system on chip design, where each and every resource, so whatever resource you require for that particular application, will be completely built upon a single chip. So this is just an example of programmable system on chip module. This was developed by Cypress Semiconductor. So if you look at this if you look at this left side, picture which is in left hand side, this has ARM Cortex microcontroller, and this has other peripherals like this has UART module, I2C module. So these are all again communication modules. This has ADC, SA, successive approximation, ADC, fan controller, captions sensor module, op amp, PRS, filter, bootloader. All those stuffs can be integrated on a chip, and again in all these resources, whatever we have are all reconfigurable. Like if we have ADC there, so depends upon our application requirement, we can configure the number of bits of the ADC, like 8-bit ADC, 10-bit ADC, 12-bit ADC. So what is the resolution we require for our application? We can fine tune that resources depend upon that. So this is a great advantage of having SOC. And with this said, automotive industry requires more number of VLSI system on chip design and testing verification engineers for automotive applications. So this was in olden days this was unheard that automobile engineer the VLSI engineer will have this much opportunity in automotive sector. But yes, so automotive sector is wide open now for VLSI engineers to explore more on the application. So this is a time for we have time for a short question. So participants can reply to this question in a chat box. How many goals are there in UNSDG? I will give you 10 seconds. So whoever knows the answer, you can post it on a chat box. Yeah, Praveen Raj is correct. UNSDG has 17 goals. So for those who are not aware of UNSDG, UNSDG is United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which was adopted by United Nations in 2015 as a part of 2030 Global Agenda for Sustainable Development. This is a 15-year plan. So all the participating countries in United Nations are following and aligning their activities and trying to achieve these UN sustainable goals as prescribed by United Nations. So this has 17 goals. As an engineer, we have more to contribute towards these sustainable goals. I leave this to you. So I highly recommend you all to explore and know what are all the UN sustainable goals are available, and try to align your activities. If you are doing any project, if you are doing working for something, try to align your activities according to which UN sustainable goal will align with your work or project that you are doing. So coming back to the topics today, smart vehicle. So yeah, of course.
Sir, your mic is muted, I think so, sir.
Okay, so when I go muted, just before or long back?
Just now, sir. Just now, sir.
Okay.
1 second before.
Okay, no problem. So smart vehicle. So what makes the car or what makes the vehicle as smart? Whether a simple automation makes the vehicle smart, what do you think? I want answer from participants. What makes a car said to be a smart car or smart vehicle?
Yes. It may work with, sir. It may work with some using of some IoT.
Okay. Okay.
And using
IoT.
IoT.
AI. Okay.
Yeah, artificial intelligence.
Reduces drivers' work and burden. Yes, of course. So what else? So just because of we are using IoT, or just because we are reducing the driver's work and burden, can we say this as a smart vehicle? Which quality or which capability the car should have in order to refer it as smart vehicle? What we are meaning as smart? Nowadays we are crazy about smart things. We need smartphone, we need smart city, we need smart car, everything, each and everything we need, we expect to be a smart. What that smart refers to?
Smart refers to people can use by the comfortableness. So people can uses some of devices with the comfortableness. That is makes of smartness.
Okay, makes the job easy, you mean?
Easy way.
Okay. So what else? Okay, in order to make the job easy, or in order to impact the life, or impact the society, and impact the application, whatever the system is designed, what is the capability that particular device should have? Whether simple automation like taking one signal as an input and producing some output, whether that is said to be a smart system, whether that is smart thing. Okay, any other guesses? Smart thing, any other idea? Any other thoughts? Okay, so when will you say one person like, hey, he is a smart guy? When will you say that? I'm not meaning about his appearance, whether he is fair or like that. I'm not meaning that. Yes, exactly.
Intelligent.
Praveen is
Intelligent.
100% correct. Intelligent. So the capability, or the ability to make decisions in a in a good way. So that is how for years we are doing automation and all those stuffs in an automobile. But in olden days, in mid age or in vintage, we have not we have not referred a car or anything as a smart vehicle, but we are referring many things as a smart. The reason is the ability of that particular object to make some good decisions, like so machine learning. With help of machine learning and with the help of artificial intelligence, the systems can able to learn by themselves, and they can make good, right, and good decisions. It depends upon the situation. Even sometimes we will give some possible situations. Sometimes a situation which we have not defined will occur. At that time, the system should be able to make some right decision. That is what the word smart refers to. The smart cars are ultimately possible with the help of AI and IoT. The AI, as you can literally refer from this part, the AI is refers to that decision making part, and the IoT can be used for connectivity across all the means. So that is how the AI and IoT are getting integrated in order to make all the object as a small object. That is same in the automotives as well. So integration of this connectivity and the intelligent decision making system makes the car as smart car, makes the vehicle as a smart vehicle. So smart vehicle will have many number of applications which uses AI and IoT. I will try to discuss some key applications which disrupted the automotive sector in a good way. So first, example, it's an interesting thing which is fleet management system. So you might have heard this in many lectures, like the world's biggest automobile company is Ola or Uber. They don't have any vehicle by their own. So that is that much of possibility for players like Ola, Uber has been created with the disruption of the smart technologies in automotive sector. One of the thing is the fleet management system. Here, everything in olden days, the fleet owners will have a number of managers. That duty of that manager is to take care of all the aspects of the vehicle which is assigned to him. But this is now getting done with the each and everything can be done and controlled with the by sitting in front of a computer or having mobile phone or iPad devices in a hand. So everything so related to fleet management system, like fleet strategy, fleet acquisition, fleet services, maintenance, energy management, risk management, tools and technology, disposition. Everything can be done automatically. So if we need in person manually, we cannot go and inspect all those things. The cluster which is assigned with the which is attached with the car can detect the stuffs what is happening in a car, and can upload that to cloud, or that can upload that to any memory where we are assigning, and that can be accessed through smartphones or computers. So everything. So since we have less time, I would like to give a general info, and we'll try to move on to the next slides. Please bear with me. So fleet strategy in acquisition, whether to take more cars and whether to reduce the number of cars, all those stuffs. So maintenance, what is the condition of that vehicle, whether periodic maintenance is happening properly or not. All those stuffs can be repair. So everything can be monitored. The energy management, that is one important thing. So most of the time the fuel consumption will vary in a different way. So for same distance, the fuel consumption will take, fuel consumption will vary, and depends on the driver. So for even for drivers, who are driving, the fuel consumption will vary. All those things can be monitored. Risk management system, the driver behavior management system. So how the driver is driving the car, like whether he is shifting the gear in a right way, whether he is shifting the gear in a right time, whether he is shifting the gear in a right RPM, whether he is overspeeding, whether he is underspeeding. Everything can be controlled, and based on that input, the driver can be given some extra training and all those stuff. So route planning and all those stuffs can be done. And disposition, so whether we can have that car for more time, or this is the right time for disposing that particular car. Everything can be controlled. Driver, as I told you, driver behavior, cost cutting, and strategy management, fuel consumption, vehicle, everything with a single device, everything can be controlled. So this is the big disruption in automotive industry. Not like a big players like Ola and Uber, even the smart fleet owners, like small fleet owners like the one who has 4 cars, 5 cars, and 4 fleets, all are using this fleet management system tools. So that is making their job very easy. So predictive maintenance, again, this can be integrated with fleet management system, or as an individual application, this can be deployed. So this will collect the telematic, the telematic unit will be associated with the vehicle. Sensor in that telematic unit will sense the vital parameter or important parameter, whichever we are assigning. The parameters, important parameters, will be uploaded to the cloud, and there can be an algorithm implemented in a cloud to predict whether any maintenance issue will happen, or is there any problem is going to occur in the car. All those things can be predicted through machine learning algorithms, and the notification can be sent to driver or owner via connected devices. So this is simple example of a predictive maintenance system for battery management. So the battery will be managed. The battery voltage and current of that battery will be keep on monitored, and the value in a particular interval, the value will be stored onto the cloud, so that the value can be analyzed, and prediction will be made whether any problem will arise in the future, or any problem is getting arised. All those things can be predicted, and the issue can be resolved by owner or driver through the notification. So this is overall example. So as I told you, the car will have a telematic unit, will sense the important parameters. The values can be uploaded onto the cloud. The prediction can be done, and the notification can be sent to the owner, driver, as well as to the, if it is developed by service centers, then the data can be uploaded with the server of the maintenance company at the time of maintenance and service. That is easy for a service engineer to predict the behavior and the condition of things in a car. So this is another a great example which is unavoidable in autonomous driving. This is going to be this has some more scope in near future. Connected cars. So this has V2X connectivity. It means vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to pedestrian, vehicle to in-vehicle devices, or vehicle to infrastructure. The V2X refers to vehicle to anything, which means all these 4 things. So this has wide scope and employability in autonomous driving. Most of the applications in autonomous driving, there are many protocols used for these V2X communications, like Wi-Fi, LTE, LIN, all those stuff. So this can be again used for autonomous driving. This is one example in connected cars, V2V, vehicle to vehicle communication. So the concept is relative braking. So in a manual human driver driven car, the driver will keep on, uh, um, 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 observing the surroundings, and based on the surrounding the driver will drive. So let us consider an example. The two vehicles are passing on a road, vehicle 1 and vehicle 2. Vehicle 1 is going ahead and vehicle 2 is going after the vehicle 1. So the vehicle before, ahead of vehicle 1 there will not be anything, so the vehicle 1 will be going. So the vehicle 2, the driver of vehicle 2 will keep on vigilantly looking the speed of vehicle 1, and based on the vehicle 1 speed the driver of vehicle 2 will drive such that it will not hit the vehicle 1, and also it will not make some uh, uh, sudden brakes and all those stuff. So like this can be implemented in an intelligent way, autonomous way. In a connected car concept, the car will get connected with the nearby cars. So that is P2V model. So in this model, the car, same example, the car 1 and car 2 will get connected when they come closer. So the car 2 will, the speed of the car will be based on the speed of the car 1, whether it is going in a speed, or it is going in a slow way, or it is the car 1 is slowing down the speed, and all those stuff will be analyzed, and the speed of car 2 will be set based on the car 1 in an automatic way. That is relative braking concept. Another one is vehicle to infrastructure model. So let us assume we are driving, we are in a car which is going before 2 kilometers ahead of us there is a traffic signal. So the car can get connected with the traffic signal which is 2 kilometers ahead of us, and the communication happened between the car and the infrastructure which is traffic signal. So the car, based on the traffic signal and based on the traffic status of that road, the car can plan the speed. So in what speed if the car goes, it need not to wait in that traffic which is ahead of 2 kilometers. That can be done through vehicle to infrastructure model. This is one of the example in V2I model. And as I told you, autonomous driving without this artificial intelligence and IoT, autonomous driving is not at all possible, and I would say unimaginable. So this is the level of automation. So we have 5 levels in autonomous driving. Level 0 is a manual one. Level 1 is driver assistance system. Usually level 1 and level 2 are advanced driver assistance systems, and the level 3, 4, 5 are autonomous ones. So level 1 will have adaptive cruise control in brake level. It will have lane keeping, auto emergency braking, park assist systems, and all those stuff. So level 2 will have adaptive cruise control and steering level, lane changing. Can you mute all, please? Okay. So level 2 will have steering level, adaptive cruise control, lane changing, traffic jam assist, overtaking assist, and all those stuff. So the level 3 will have highway driving autonomous 50 meter per hour driver initiated lane change. If the driver wants to change the lane, let them once the driver press the lane change option, the lane will be by lane in which way the vehicle is going will change, depends upon the driver input. An automated valet parking, traffic jam chopper. In a traffic jam, the driver can take rest and put it on autonomous mode, so that based on the speed of vehicle before that vehicle ahead of that car will move accordingly. And the fourth level is high automation. We have automated lane change, cruising chauffeur, free drive. And fifth is the pure autonomous. It is mind off. Not at all driver is required for the level 5. It is a robo taxi, autonomous shuttle, all driving conditions. So there is no driver needed to be on the driver seat. But till level 4, the driver is needed in the driver seat. In order to, even in the level 4, the driver is needed in order to take the control of the vehicle in emergency situation. But in level 5, it is expected to be a full automated one. The driver is not at all required on a place. So these are all the physical systems of automotive vehicle. Typically, you can see it will have mostly lidar and radar sensors. to detect the objects in the surroundings, and cameras will also work. So it will have a main intelligent computing system in order to predict all those stuff. Most of the cases, the industries are pretty much interested in designing the autonomous vehicle with the electric vehicles. So that the controllability part can be done very easily. So if it is a electric vehicle, the battery pack will be in the mid of the car usually. So these are all the potential gateways. So if it's a connected car, autonomous driving, that it has potential possibilities of attack. So through these are all the means through which the intruder can get inside. Gateways, electronic ECUs, OBD, onboard diagnostic systems, V2X modules, vehicle to X communication modules, USB port, keyless entry, remote key, tire pressure, and some applications like this. Through this, the intruder can, get in and try to do some malfunction. These are all I won't say these are all the only gateways. These are all some of gateways. So like this, there are potential gateways that has to be covered with the security system, such that no one can enter in, no one who are unauthorized can enter into it. So this is another example which we have done at our college. This was developed by a team of KCIRI led by Professor Vasantraj at KCT. So we have made the golf cart. It is, we are referring this as golf cart because it was used in golf clubs earlier. But nowadays it is used in wide range of applications like campus vehicles in colleges, companies, hospitals, and all those stuff. Even in temples, railway stations, airports, all those stuff. We are using this. So we have made this we have made this to operate in two additional modes. One manual mode, which is already available. We have made this to drive in station mode as well as in autonomous mode. In station mode, the driver can sit on a station and can drive the vehicle. Drive the vehicle with the setup available in the station. And autonomous mode, no driver, not at all required. It will go as like that in an autonomous way. So these are all the possible areas to explore. These areas, I have formulated based on the applications which we have discussed in this session. In fleet management system, as a product development, point of view, we can develop an app for fleet management system, telematic units, and driver behavior management system, predict driver behavior, monitoring system, and all those stuffs. And in a research perspective, we can explore the route prediction algorithms. So that we can develop some algorithms which will predict the right way, right path, so that the shortest path, the path which consumes less fuel, all those stuffs can be predicted. And in predictive maintenance, we can develop again algorithm for failure prediction, and we can work on comparative study between deploying the predictive algorithms in cloud storage as well as in the local cluster. Which one is feasible can be explored a lot. And localization of data from sensors. So it is not necessary that all the data which we are sensing in the car has to be uploaded onto the cloud. We can have some strategy. We can have some algorithms so that which data needs to be uploaded on the cloud, which are all the data can be skipped just like that. Because nowadays handling the data is very important task. We should not miss any important data. At the same time, we should not have the redundant data as well. There are a lot of possibilities for exploration in this area. And vehicle to X communication, we can work on relative braking as an application, speed control, V2X protocols, how the mechanisms, how the strategies can be utilized in different protocols, like how the handshaking can happen, how this skipping of communication from one infrastructure to other infrastructure can happen. The jumping between, if the car is connected in one infrastructure one, if it is moving away from that infrastructure one and wanting to connect to the infrastructure two, how this transition can happen. During that transition, how the data can be handled, all those stuffs can be explored in a research perspective. And in autonomous driving, this has a huge variety. It has a huge scope. I would say ocean of opportunities available for electronics, computer engineers for exploration, onboard diagnostics, other smart subsystems, security systems. As I told you, there are some many potential gateways. Security algorithms can be developed and deployed in the in order to protect the gateways. So these are all the possible explorations. So that I feel you can also add on to it. So I just would like to make you understand that these many scope and opportunities are available for circuit branch engineers in automotive sector. So with this, thing, I would like to conclude my today's session. Thank you so much for your patience in listening, to my whole session today. And I would sincerely thank IEEE student branch of Panimalar Institute of Technology, student organizers, Hindu, and other secretary and other volunteers, and ultimately Professor Arun. Is a very good friend of mine in IEEE Madras section. So thank you so much, Professor Arun, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share my experience in this automotive domain. Thank you so much. We are I'm looking for some more such possible collaborations in future as well. So this is my contact detail, my email ID. I am available on WhatsApp in this number. 9944147137, and you can find me in Facebook, LinkedIn, and Insta in the name of Navanidha Krishnan Ramanathan. I am pretty open to all the proposal, whichever you feel that I can collaborate with. So let it be any academic collaboration, let it be any research collaboration, let it be any collaboration related to IEEE student branch activity, IEEE section activity, any side project related activity. If you feel I can collaborate with you or I can assist you, you please feel free to contact me. So thank you so much. I'm open for any questions if there is any from participants.
So participants, if you have any questions to ask, you can unmute yourself and ask your queries. Participants, you can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can post it in the chat box.
Hi, this is Gopal here. So few questions are there into the chat box.
Yeah.
So better that the coordinator team either you read as direct to the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gopal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful session. This is Arun. And I would like to moderate the questions which have been asked in the chat window.
Sure.
What is actually FEET? There is a question from Ankit.
Yeah. I think they mean it is fleet. I mean, so I have not touched anything as fleet. So the fleet is as a vehicle, so, a car or truck which is in a company. Yes, I hope I answered for this.
Thank you, sir. There's a second question. Thank you, sir. There is a second question. Can we adopt automation in household also?
Yeah, automation is possible, in all the sectors. Automation is taking, place in home automation, industry automation, automation in healthcare, automation in agriculture. So automation is getting, adopted in all the areas, even, all the areas that is getting adopted. So automation is very much possible in home. Even that Google, assistant, what is that? Echo or something. So all those stuffs are automation tools for home automation.
There is a question from Muralidharan. How LIDAR works?
LIDAR actually it is light based. It is it is an advanced like how radar works. Radar works with frequency. The LIDAR works with light. So again, that is used in autonomous cars for detection of obstacles. The advantage of having LIDAR system is in radar, if we use that, we can use for only particular degrees. The LIDAR can be used for 360 degrees. So usually you can find something on top of the car. If you look at the Google autonomous car, there will be some cap kind of thing on top of the car. So that is LIDAR module. Any other?
So there is a question like, how can I put automation in the right way in any area?
Sorry.
How can I?
Thank you, sir. And there is
Yeah.
there is another question.
So the question goes like,
This is
how can I
Sridhar.
put automation in the right way in any area?
Sorry.
How can I put automation in a right way in any area?
So anything and everything in application development is purely depends on the application requirement. You have to, just like that, simply we have a tool and technology, just like that, we cannot go and automate the things. We need to see, we need to look at the requirement, and we need to strongly study, by making some by making that particular thing autonomous, or by making automation in that particular thing, how much impact that will create. All those stuff we need to clearly see, and depends upon the application requirement and the impact that automation will happen, we need to proceed on. So otherwise, if there is, again, if there is any compatibility issue, okay, we can, as on a tabletop model, we can create a prototype. So whether that is feasible to a deployment in a real ground, that is also we need to consider. So otherwise, if we simply just like that go and create automation, that will create a problem where just because we have automated the thing, we need to follow some sort of mechanism or some sort of rules that will not definitely work out. So we need to clearly investigate all those areas before going for automation in anything.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is another interesting question from Charmati.
Yeah.
In the time of the COVID-19, has automation played its role for delivering or making any comfort for the infected? Would it be possible to implement?
It is breaking quick. Can you repeat?
Okay. In the time of this COVID-19, has automation played its role?
Automation, yeah.
So for delivering or making
For delivering
or making any comfort for the infected, would it be possible to implement?
Yes. So now you can see many researchers are working on the touchless things. So whether it can be doors, or it can be a washroom. So touchless things. So whatever thing you need to physically touch, people are working on automation part of that in order to make that as touchless one. So that kind of things are happening now. And in fact, even related to automation related to COVID, your JPR Institute of Technology is also working on the design and development of mechanical controlled ventilator. So which will help the COVID-19 patients, whoever feels respiratory problem. That was again supported by IEEE site. They are doing that. So there are a lot of automation projects happening related to COVID-19 and to help COVID-19 affected people.
Okay, sir. So there is another question. What is automation testing framework? How can we learn that testing framework?
Automation?
Testing framework.
Okay. So testing will differs, application to application. So in medical field, if you want to automate something, there will be different type of testing. In automotives, there will be different types of testing. So before testing, we cannot just like that develop our application which is convenient and which is easy for us. So there will be some norms, like if you take if you are working for any software development in for automotives, there is something called AutoSAR. That is a software framework developed by consortium of companies. So a group of companies created that framework. So whoever is developing the application, whoever developing the software program for automotive, that has to be followed. And also you might have heard, some other like C programming. There is something called, no, I just forgot that name. So there are plenty of some models available through which we need to follow. And of course, yes, testing time in an industry, if you look at for development, only 30% of time will go. Okay. So in a development, duration, if you look at, only 30% of time will go for actual development. Remaining 70% of time will go for complete testing. So each and every product in an industry has to be tested rigorously. So there are, again, depends upon the application, there are several types of testing. So if it is a SoC, system on chip design, there will be a functional verification, functional testing, and all those stuff. So testing is a very broad topic. Even if we consider for very simple applications, there are n number of testing procedures prescribed by different scientists and companies. So testing has to be done. I would say in a real-time industry scenario, the time for testing is more than time for development.
Okay, sir. Thanks for answering all the questions. Those are all the questions that were posted in the chat box.
Thank you so much.
I hope the questions are over. Okay, sir. I now call upon Mr. Mithresh to deliver the vote of thanks. And the feedback link for today's meeting will be posted in the chat box. And it will remain open for only 15 minutes after the end of the meeting.
Yes, Nirmala madam, really sorry. We understand time is 12:20. Really sorry for the delay.
Mithresh, please deliver the vote of thanks.
I take this immense opportunity to thank everyone who. I would especially like to thank our today's speaker, Mr. Navanitha Krishnan, for your valuable time and presence, sir. You really created awareness on smart automotive systems, microprocessor, and ICs. I would like to thank our student and counselor, Mr. Arun, IEEE Vice Chairman, TEMS Madras Chapter, for providing us a wonderful opportunity for organizing this event. Information regarding our upcoming webinars will be updated in our social media pages and WhatsApp group. We cordially invite all the participants to participate. Feedback link is provided in the chat box. Do fill the form. Participants, those who are filling the form alone, will be provided with the certificate. The feedback link will remain active for 15 minutes after the end of the meeting. Once again, I thank all. Stay home, stay safe.
Thank you, Navanithan sir. This is Arun, Student Branch Counselor. Thanks for accepting our invitation, and thanks for your motivational words for starting our SSIT society. It's only because of your initiative we have started it, and I hope we will extend many collaboration in near future to conduct multiple events with SSIT. Thank you for encouraging us and cooperating us with conducting many sort of events in near future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I want your more involvement in us IEEE SSIT Madras as well. So,
sure, sir. Sure, we will do it.
Thank you so much, sir. So I will sign off. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I request all the participants once again to fill the feedback form, and you can leave the meeting. Thank you once again for joining us. And we do have another 6 webinars in the line. I request all the participants to follow our WhatsApp group. Thank you once again for giving such good feedbacks. And we are also in process of conducting a faculty development program in machine learning for participants who are interested to learn it in Tamil. Since machine learning is going to be a future technology, we have already hosted it in English, and many participants have requested us to take it in the regional language. So we are in the process of conducting it as a faculty development program for faculties to enrich them in their regional language, Tamil. And shortly we will release you the notice of it. Thank you.
Arun sir, hello.
Tell me.
Yes, sir. This is Gopal here from GIT University, Odisha. I'm also faculty over here. Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, sir.
I'm touching with you and Indu and all like from the last few all the webinar programs. Okay, I will like a small like what suggestion maybe you consider. Like
Sure,
what I
sir.
are expecting, like is this possible? Like that every day, every nowadays, like all the students are very eagerly waiting for the like what only data science or like machine learning or whatever it might be, whatever it may be. But the thing is, main focused area is how to take the data to make it process and to be at the end something. You got it? Main focused area.
Yes, sir.
So is this possible to like not hands-on, but to be like a speaker who will give us like by taking any random data, it's minimum data, no issue. But to be at the end, to be like show to the like student, though here mostly all are the like students. So better like to give into the output like this is the things we take you took and we choose some language, we processed like this way, and at the end we like produced this one like that. Is this possible like to take a 1 to 2 hour session? Because as of my knowledge, Google Meet is of allowing us around 8 hour a session, but I'm not expecting 8 hour, but still some data need to be taken by a like speaker and to be processed in front of us practically, then to be shown to the students like that. I know that all are doing some different way, but is this possible to conduct a like real-time oriented speaker who will like show to this possible? You may take it like a suggestion.
Yeah, sir. Already we have conducted it as an 5 days hands-on workshop itself. Last 4 days back we completed it actually. 3 to 8 we have conducted it, and we have one of our speakers, Sabrinath Premlal, who has showed it in the
already. I attended 1-2 program of the Sabrina sir. Hopefully he is from one of the laboratory. Am I right? Like one.
Yeah. Respro about.
Maybe I missed. But I mean to say like a particular data to be processed in a one session only. Maybe it is okay. But any data, I'm not randomly somebody suppose will give us this is the data and in what way I will like make it to select one what way I will like analyze. Means all these are little more confusion everywhere as of my knowledge. Those are like working into a depth, maybe they are good enough. But still, because few students also they are asking on that way normally. Okay, so if this possible, then
yes, sir. Sure, sir. We will arrange for it. Thank you for your valuable feedback. Definitely, we will look into a good speaker and we will arrange a session in that too.
Yeah, miss very short duration, but to be like that way. Okay. Okay, sir.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the feedback.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'm also happy that people are arranging a lots of the series of the programs, and to your like student coordinator team also, and to you especially. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mitesh, you can end the meeting now.
Yes, sir.
And please do not share the feedback form to any other mode. Only it should be available in the chat box. Only people who have attended can submit it. And just check for the minutes. If it is exactly 15 minutes, you can close that feedback form also.
If you are filled in
Okay,
the
sir.
form, you can leave the meeting.
Thank you, participants. Thank you for your valuable support with us. Indu, don't keep on sending feedbacks. People who come join lately may also try to fill it. Let them, once you post it in the chat box once, we will not post it again. So that people who are joining late will not be allowed to fill the feedback form from the next event.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Indu. Thank you, Mitresh. And thanks all to our REM scholars for their constant support in organizing this event. I would also like to extend my thanks to our REM scholars, Vigasini, Kavita Sri, Ritiga, and Indumadi for your constant support with Mitresh for hosting this event. Thank you once again. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.